Hello again, this is Michael from TOEFLResources.com, and this is a independent essay evaluation for Sungha. If you are not Sungha and you still happen to be watching this video, you can follow the link in the video description to get your own evaluation. So Sungha, let's get right to it. I left in the comments quite a few specific things that you'll want to focus on. There's 36 comments and corrections. But in this video, I want to focus myself on some of the most important things, most critical things that you can change. So let's get started with your introduction. The introduction is fine. It uses the structure I suggested, and I wouldn't change too much. The only thing I would suggest changing is maybe the hook. Your hook is kind of boring. You said, in the restaurant, we pay to sit and eat meals that cooked in a best way. Okay, there are some grammar problems there, and I fixed those in the comments, but even with the grammar fixed, it's kind of boring. I suggested over here with, we go to restaurants to eat meals that are better than we can prepare ourselves at home. Slightly more interesting. Don't get off to a bad start with a boring hook. Okay, so let's get to your body paragraphs. First of all, and this is the most important comment I'm going to make here, your topic sentence is weak. Here's what you wrote. To begin with, a new restaurant will create jobs. That's weak. Why is that weak? Well, a good topic sentence should have a topic, which you've got. The topic is a new restaurant will create jobs, but it also needs what we call a controlling idea. The controlling idea is the purpose of your paragraph. While the topic is just a statement of fact, the controlling idea represents your opinion, your reason, your specific argument. Imagine that you give a statement of fact, a restaurant will create jobs. Someone's going to say, so what? Who cares? The answer to that question is your controlling idea. So here, and I wrote it in the comments, here's a good topic sentence. To begin with, a restaurant will create jobs which are desperately needed in my community. You got that? So the statement of fact, the topic is a restaurant will create jobs. So what? Well, my community desperately needs them. And that's really, really important for your body paragraphs. And that's the difference between a weak essay and a strong essay. As you write your practice essays, you'll notice that having a good controlling idea allows you to write focused, purposeful, meaningful body paragraphs. So moving along, a little thing, comment 12, it really stood out. You said at the first, but in English we always say at first. It was right here. At first, many people worked. Okay. Finally, about the example you used in your essay, it's good. I always suggest that you use a personal example, but your problem here is that the question has asked you, do you support the construction of a restaurant being built in your neighborhood? That is, it's going to be built in the future. It's going to be built soon in your neighborhood. You wrote an example all about how a restaurant was constructed in your neighborhood in the past. All about how the restaurant helped your community in the past. But that's not what you were asked. You were asked, do you support a restaurant opening now or in the very near future? So while your example is good and it has a lot of details, a better example would be about how your community is suffering without jobs now. Talk about how people are unemployed, how businesses have closed down, and then talk about how the restaurant will actually change that. If you talk about all the benefits of the restaurant in the past, it's almost like, well, you don't need another restaurant. So again, focus on answering the question you've been asked specifically. Read it twice. I promise it'll help. Okay, moving on a little bit to your next body paragraph. I'm not going to go into detail again, but yeah, the topic sentence is a little bit weak. Basically, you said the restaurant will save people time. Okay, sure. So what? Why is that important? You could talk about how it will save you time, and that maybe will help you spend more time with your family, something like that. That would be a good controlling idea. Finally, I'm going to comment on one small detail that I thought was really, it kind of bugs me, and I see it in a lot of essays from students. It's comment 34. You made this mistake a few times. You put in 2 spaces after the comma. And I think maybe in another essay by you, sometimes you would put in 2 spaces between words. It's a little thing. Maybe it won't cost you any points on test day, but it kind of drives me nuts. I guess it still officially counts as a punctuation mistake. So remember, just 1 space after a comma, 1 space between words. I'll leave it at that. Meanwhile, you wrote a fine conclusion. I always teach my students to write a very, very short conclusion. Restate your main idea, summarize your 2 reasons, and leave it at that. So anyways, I think this essay is pretty good. Probably score in the range of 19, 20, 21 points. I'll tell you a bit more about that in the email. Overall, it's a big improvement, Sung-ha, over what you've been doing earlier, and I think you're on a roll. So I'm going to leave it at that. And again, if you're not Sung-ha and you want to get your essays evaluated, there's a link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, as always.